Hello! Before we get into the video, I wanted to let you know that I launched my undated bullet journal. This is a full bujo with pre-designed spreads, so you don't have to spend time making art, and instead can just customize this journal for yourself. It's also undated, so you can start it whenever you want, or skip a month. If you're interested, I'll have the link below to my online shop. Okay, love you, hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to one of my favorite videos of the year, my bullet journal flip through videos. I did one of these back in June, July for the bullet journal that I used for the first half of 2023. However, I use two journals every year because I simply don't have enough space in one notebook. So here's a flip through of July through December of 2023. If you're a beginner to bullet journaling or if you just want some good inspiration, this is the video for you because there are so many good spread ideas that I think you guys are gonna love in here. This journal is the Nara journal from Notebook Therapy, and I'll have it linked down below along with the discount code you guys can use if you want to purchase the same journal. Opening it up, I of course have my nameplate and then going right into the yearly spreads. So in my bullet journal, I always have a couple spreads at the beginning of the year that I set up before I start doing my monthly themes, quote unquote. So I decided to do a deer theme because it matches the deer on the front of the cover, and I also used a lot of browns and beiges because it also matches the brown theme of this journal. My future log is not used too much, but there are definitely like a lot of birthdays that I list in here, and as you can see, there was a lot going on in November that I had to keep track of. Going into my goals page, I'm a firm believer in goal setting, and I actually do a lot more of my goal setting digitally on Notion simply because there is more room for me to add extra things and edit it as the year goes on. Like I said, I started this journal halfway through 2023, so this is actually just a mid-year check-in. This was a reflection on the beginning of the year, and then the bottom half is what I want for the rest of the year. By the way, I do have a free goal setting template that I have on my website that you're free to download if you would like to help with setting your goals. I'll have it linked down below also for you to check out. Here is my book tracker, and although I have a couple more I need to fill in, I did a lot of good reading this year. My goal every year is to read 50 books, and that is my Goodreads goal. Right now I'm reading book 48 and 49, so I'm so close to finishing this goal. And then I also have on the right a period tracker, although I also have an app to track this as well. So honestly, a lot of these spreads I have digitally tracking as well. I had a cute little mood board that I made to match the theme of the Nara journal, and now we can move into the first monthly theme in the setup, which was July 2023. I did this super bright and colorful soda pop theme with like different types of fruit inside. This was quite a different thing for me. Usually, one, I don't use super bright colors, so this was like obviously like wow, in your face, so much color. Also, in the past themes before this, I was using a lot of like alcohol marker drawings on sticker paper and pasting them in. So this was the first month in a while that I was actually just using water-based markers like directly in my bullet journal. So this is definitely something I was used to. It had been a hot second since I had done this type of style. So it was nice to kind of go back to something I was pretty familiar with and just do something relatively simple. Obviously, these designs are very maximal, so much color, very large fonts, very large drawings like this, but it was nice to have something like super colorful in the middle of summer, and I feel like it was really good for brightening my mood. This, however, was drawn on sticker paper with alcohol markers. I did a video about how to use alcohol markers in your bullet journal, and I demonstrated using this weekly spread, and then I went and added the extra designs after, and this has to be one of my favorite weeklies of this entire year. Sometimes I just use random spreads like this for random stuff, but now here we are in August 2023. So this is a much more minimal and stripped back theme, as you can tell, compared to July. I used a little scrapbooking theme, and I really tried to lean into the colors red, lavender, beige, and black. I bought this set of stickers, these alphabet stickers that I used for a lot of the headers. As you can see, I took a lot of pictures off of Pinterest and printed them, and I also printed with my Phonema printer right here. This is just a random receipt, but I crumpled it up and it made it look like a really cool technique. It's hard to see because it's white on white, but like in person, especially since this has a lot of texture compared to the rest of the paper, it's nice to have like some cool effects like that. Going into my weekly spreads, like I said, this theme is a little bit more toned down, a little bit more minimal. This may not seem minimal to a lot of people. In fact, I have a very hard time being minimal in my journal because I always want to add more art, more design, more something else. But I feel like this was, at least for me, much more stripped back compared to July, and it was a nice contrast. Okay, before I continue August, I forgot that I did this in the middle of August, so this was my first semester of college, so I made a productive student bullet journal setup on this channel that you guys are free to watch, but this is where I set up like some school bullet journal spreads that I kind of used intermittently throughout the year. So this first page was just an overview of like my school schedule. Over here, I have a schedule of like what my weeks look like that I never really filled in past my classes, but that's what my schedule looked like. This spread is class information, so I basically just wrote down information from my syllabi. And then here, like I said, I didn't really use it this much. much. This was supposed to be August planning and then projects and to-do lists, but to be honest, I just found a way to integrate my university planning into my weekly spreads, so I never made any more spreads like this throughout the semester. So we're back in August, and like I said, this is a Dutch store weekly spread, but because I wanted to integrate my academic planning, as you can see, there's a little academic to-do list over here that compares with the personal to-do list over here. So like, as you'll see, I start adding more academic sections into my weekly spread. That way I can kind of blend my university planning with everything else in my life rather than making an extra complete spread for it. Perfect example. So right here, my first official week of college, and I had this academic planning. So I have one box for each of my classes, and I just have a bullet for everything I need to do. This system worked really well for me throughout the year, and I continued using it throughout the end of the semester. So this is actually a little bundle of pages taped together. If you watched my September plan with me, you would know that I started filming this once, and then I actually had to refilm it. So I just taped together the pages that I didn't like, and I refilmed and restarted my September setup. So here is the new and improved version. So I used Sticky, who is a sticker company, non-sponsored by the way, but this is a sticker from them, and I took the inspiration for this theme from their sticker sheet. So it was like a goldfish, koi fish, something like that, with this little orange, blue, teal color palette. I think that worked really well with September. I don't know, it just kind of screamed September to me. I love these colors together. This is a super tied back and like minimal theme, because I was kind of in a creative block, which is why I used the stickers as art, so I didn't have to draw anything myself. I could just depend on other artists' work to kind of boost my spreads a little bit. However, this came to backfire because unfortunately I ran out of stickers on this sticker sheet, and I made an entire like short about this and I posted about it, but because I ran out of stickers, I ordered a new sticker sheet so I could, you know, add these stickers for the rest of the spreads after the opening setup for like my weekly spreads and stuff, but I didn't receive it in time. And it wasn't Sticky's fault, it was my fault. It was like lost in the mailbox, but I found it like literally the last week of September. And so besides this first week where I have one sticker, the rest of the spreads are all super minimal with not much art, or maybe I drew something like myself like this, which turned out pretty ugly in my opinion. Like, that's so lazy. This actually is so funny because as I'm filming this, last night I started a new sketchbook and I actually drew fish in the cover page, and I took inspiration from this tattoo artist, and this is like what I came up with, and oh my gosh, the improvement. I know I have much more creative energy than I did back in September, so I can't really compare, but it's honestly funny to see like this compared to something that I just created that's so much more of an improvement in my opinion. Honestly, I like this spread. I like the little layering motifs here, but overall it's just like it's very obvious to me that I was in a creative block. But not to worry, October became one of my favorite months of the year. This is an anatomy theme, and I used mostly only black and white for this theme, and I love this idea. So I took inspiration from an artist and drew this ribcage and pelvis drawing. And going into the rest of the month, as you can see, I also have rose motifs because I integrated a little bit of brown line art and red line art into this theme. So obviously like not much coloring anywhere. It's like the only pop of color is with the red line art, but I did use cross hatching and this type of shading technique that I learned like, I don't know, in art class when I was little. I really pulled this out for this month, as you can see, and it was fun to play with this more not traditional, but an art style that I haven't really used in a long time. This spread I particularly like. I'm sure a lot of this is going to be blurred out, by the way, because obviously there's a lot of personal information in my journal that I can't share on the internet, so if the blurring is annoying you, sorry. But from what you guys can see, there's like a border on the side of this spread with the little roses climbing up, and I think that's not only super like gothic because it's like roses climbing up, I don't know, the side of a building or something, but I think it's also a cool effect to like frame the page. Going into my weekly spreads, it was super fun this month to try and draw new things, specifically because anatomy is not easy to draw. So I really had to take some time this month and practice, which is why you can definitely tell that I was in much more of a creative mood because I took the time to practice. But like a drawing like this took me a little bit to do. Like I had to make sure the proportions were right, and I had to add the shading, and obviously it's not like perfectly anatomically correct with like the little pieces chipping off, but I love this art style, and I love that I took the time to actually make art like this in my journal. This too, like the skeleton, like that's super fun, you know, and it was like something that I was proud of myself for creating. Even if it's not like the most beautiful thing I've ever made, because it's like, you know, black and white, pretty simple, the technique behind it is really what I was proud of. I made an autumn reading plan spread as a video on this channel. This was made on October 18th, and it's actually kind of funny because I wrote a lot of books that I wanted to read in the autumn season whenever I was really getting into the fall mood, and then like 3 days later I got into a different mood, I suppose, because I never actually finished these books. Alright, last weekly spread. All of these drawings I actually didn't do myself. I printed them on my Phonema printer. They're just drawings from Pinterest, but I had to get a little lazy. I was apparently really busy this week, so as you can see, there's a lot going on, so I didn't really have time to do art. And now for November. This unfortunately was one of my most disappointing themes this entire year. I think I had such a good idea for this theme, and it wasn't even my art that backfired, because I think that the art that I drew, like for example this lioness queen with like the lion coming over her head, is super cool. The issue is I use a sticker paper that I usually don't use, and I realized the hard way that this doesn't really absorb the ink as well as I'm used to. So while I would normally spend a lot of time layering and adding like depth of color, obviously like I did here, I didn't know that what happened was when I close my journal, it's going to reflect over here. So there's a big yellow blob on like all of these pages because I wasn't used to the paper just not absorbing my ink. However, lesson learned, I suppose. I will not be using that original brand. I won't be saying their name because I don't want to like flame them on this channel, but let's just say that I approve online label sticker paper above anything else. Again, non-sponsored, but I just think that there's definitely a difference in quality sometimes. Anyway, all that being said, this is my November theme. I still think the art was very good. Like, I love this girl. Like, she looks so cool and menacing, and like I had a lot of fun like playing with gold reflective like jewelry and just like leaving white gaps in my artwork. That was something I really hadn't tried before. But then my entire theme was tainted because every time I closed the journal, I'd have another replica in bright yellow on the other side of the page. So it was like annoying to have to come back and use these spreads because it was just frustrated that everything seemed ruined because of my art not being absorbed into the paper. I made an entire video on this spread when I talked about how I lay out my bullet journal spreads and like the thought process behind like measuring and spacing and margins and everything. I'll link that video along with every other video I mentioned that I'm going to link in this video down in the description box below if you'd like to check it out. And speaking of, if I haven't made it abundantly clear yet, I do make monthly plan with me's for each of my bullet journal setups, so I'll put the playlist also below so you guys can see my process for making all of these setups in my bullet journal. Super, super minimal and simple weekly spread. I just made a Dutch door to finish out the month. Obviously at this point I could not give any less of a crap about how this theme turned out. It was unfortunate, but not to fear, because now we're going to move into December planning page, and now we can move into December, which was one of my favorite themes of the year. I did a cottage theme in the middle of the woods, and I loved drawing the snow on the pine trees and like the bright blue. I think that this is like vaguely Christmas inspired, which I like, but it's not like in your face, like Santa, elves, reindeer, ornaments, like anything like that. It's not like crazy in your face Christmas. It's just kind of simple and cute, and I love it. It's not super technical. There's not like a million things going on. It almost goes back to my old type of really traditional bullet journaling. Like I said, just water-based pen and marker on paper. So super simple. But after November, I wanted something simple, and I'm glad that I could just pull off something successful and leave it at that. As you guys can see, I'm filming this in December, so my theme is not completely filled out yet. I currently have the rest of the year to finish making spreads, but the 2 weekly spreads I've made so far I think are super adorable. So there's this one first, and then this second one with the circle spread that I actually was inspired by my past self, because I used a spread just like this in January, and here we are using it again, coming full circle. Anyway, so that is all that I have in my bullet journal so far. If you want to see the rest of the spreads that I make in my bullet journal for the rest of the year, definitely subscribe on YouTube and or follow me on Instagram. I post all of my weekly spreads on those platforms every single week, so you won't want to miss out on those. And also, I have my 2024 bullet journal setup coming out in just a couple of weeks, so don't forget to look out for that, because I cannot wait to show you my plans there. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you like bullet journaling but you don't have the time to do this kind of intensive bullet journaling, I do have an undated bullet journal on my online shop, so you guys can purchase that for the new year, and you guys can fill out your own spreads, make your own bullet journal, and customize it to fit your own needs, but without spending all the time it took for me to make a spread like this. So if you guys are interested, it'll be linked down below along with everything else in this video. I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you in just a couple days for another exciting video.